What's up guys, macadii here. Now today we've got a very special live where I know you guys find it funny sometimes when I do this voice. So I thought I would try and do an entire live just using this voice where it's very quiet up against the mic without laughing, which is probably going to be very difficult. So let's quickly run through the team that we're going to be using for this live. We have got a choice spec Sylveon with hyper voice, Psyshock, hidden power ground and baton pass with the pixelate, so pixelate boosted hyper voice for that extra power with max HP, max special attack and a tiny little bit in speed. We've then got our life hold crook, which is our stealth rocker and also pursuit trapper for bulky psychic types. Then we've got our mega Ampharos, which is our defensive wall with Dragon Pulse, Volt Switch, Rest and Sleep Talk. Then we've got our Crest, which is another physically defensive wall, but it is a Calm Mind set with Psyshock, Moonblast and Moonlight. Then we've got Banded Entei, and to finish up, a Black Sludge max HP Crobat with a good amount of speed investment. So let's just sign in. Let's jump straight into a battle. Okay, so as you can see, what we have got here is most likely a Fortress lead. I would also say that possibly Scarf Dragon out of that team, that for Alligator is going to be a little bit of a problem. So I think overall we could lead Entei, but then I am a little bit worried about him leading off with the Crook. So maybe my best bet here is to lead off. Well, actually, I probably will lead off with the Entei. He does lead off with a Crook, which is very unfortunate. So I think what we need to do here is probably go into a Crobat where we can U-turn out. We do predict the Earthquake, which is really nice. And what I can do here is go for the U-turn and U-turn out probably into Sylveon, or I might just actually go for Brave Bird here. Just get some damage off, which is really nice. If he goes for knockoff, I can live that, and I can always roost this turn if I want to. I'm predicting him to possibly either go for rocks here, or he's going to go for the Earthquake, predicting me to roost. There's a couple of things I can still roost on, so I am just going to go for the U-turn, as he does go out to Metagross, which is great for us, because now what we can do is we can go into our Entei, and he doesn't really have a reliable switch into this guy. That's not going to take a huge amount of damage, so that's very nice. So I'm going to go for the Sacred Fire here and see what he decides to go into, but something's going to take a huge amount of damage, and it is the Metagross, so that's really nice. Out comes the Feraligatr. This guy is very spooky, but I'm pretty sure Ampharos will be able to take it on. He's going to go for the Dragon Dance here, and the question is, do we want to Mega Up here? Let's run a very quick damage calc to see whether it's worth megaing up or not. Mega Ampharos versus Feraligatr. Ice Punch will be doing a lot, but a Volt Switch will kill, and we can live it. So I am just going to go for the Volt Switch here and mega up. As he decides to go for the Ice Punch, we can take that, we don't get frozen, and we do kill the Feraligatr. So that's really nice. And what we can do here is probably go into Entei to bait out. Actually, the Crook can still come in. I'm going to go into my Crobat because it outspeeds the rest of his team. If he goes into the Hydreigon, we'll then know it's Scarf, and we can always switch out from there. Out comes the Fortress. I think what I'm going to do here is I could just roost up here because there's no huge amount he can do to me, and I can defog his assets away. So I'm not too worried about that as he goes to the Volt Switch. That's really nice for us because now we get a load of HP back, and out comes the Whimsicott. Whimsicott can be a little bit of an issue for our team, so we need to try and work out the best way to try and deal with him. So we could just go for the Brave Bird here, but I am worried about him going for the Stun Spore. Let's see, so we do outspeed so that's quite nice. I think I am just going to go for Brave, but he does Encore us. That's absolutely fine by me, because now we've got all of our HP back up, and there's nothing that's not too bad, to be honest. What we could do now is go into the Sylveon and get a Hyper Voice off, which I think is my best bet from here, as he is going to stay and he goes for the U-turn. He doesn't really have a reliable switch outside of the Fortress, and if he goes into Fortress, I've got a free switch back into my Entei from there, so that's absolutely fine. So I get that baton pass off, and I can go into my Entei, and whatever wants to come in is going to take a huge amount of damage. He goes to the Charitable. That's fantastic. Now all I'm going to do is go for that Secret Fire, and it does end up forfeiting, so that's really, really nice. Okay, I think we're going to go for one more, because it's really, really hard on my voice. So I'm going to go and look for another one and see what we can find. Okay, so we got a Mega Beedrill team here. That's going to be very, very... Mega Beedrill's always a bit of a pain, so we do want to try and get our rocks up. He does have that Fortress, which is going to put pressure on us if we want to try and get our rocks up and stuff like that. So I think possibly our best lead here could be the Entei, because we can knock ourselves into extreme speed if we need to. So I'm going to lead off with Entei as he leads up with the Swampert. That's unfortunate. What we can do here though is we can go into our Crobat, because we should be able to take this on, and we can defog these rocks away, which is really, really nice. Our lack of Scuffle will be a little bit of a pain with that Mega Beedrill, but I'm pretty sure we should be able to take it on. So he does just go for Scald here. I'm just going to U-turn, and I'm going to go straight out into my Sylveon, because I can take a Scald and I can fire off a nice and powerful Hyper Voice. He does get the crit, but he doesn't get the burn, so I'm happy with that. All I'm going to do here is just fire off a Hyper Voice, get a good amount of damage on that Swampert, which is absolutely great. And now he has to either sack off his Swampert or go out into something like his Fortress. And we get a huge amount of damage on that Fortress, that's great. And he does end up forfeiting. Okay, we will go for one more from there. I'm going to go and look for another one and see what we can find. Hopefully we can get another win from here, because that would be really, really nice to continue laddering up. But so far I really, really do like the team. It's one of my favourite teams to use in UU right now. And it does struggle a little bit with powerful ground types, but with Crobat around it does kind of help as well. Okay, so we've got quite an interesting team. I am expecting the lead Azelf, or even the lead Darmanitan, which we can switch into potentially. We do kind of need to make her up with Ampharos. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to lead off with my Ampharos, and what we can do is actually make her up and go for the Volt Switch, and we get that slow Volt Switch out, and then we can go into something like our Crobat to get a good amount of damage off. He has no ground type, which is huge, so we can just go for that Volt Switch. He does set up the rocks, and that should do a really nice amount of damage, and we can now go into our Crobat. We do take rocks damage from here, which is unfortunate, but it's our most reliable switch into this guy, and I can just go for a U-turn, and we do take out the Azelf, so that's absolutely great. Now the question is, what do we want to go into now? We could go into Krookodile, because Krookodile does have a fair matchup against his team. Let's see, what's our best bet? Possibly go into Ampharos again, because I think that might be our best bet. Let's see what he decides to go into. He goes into the Sylveon. Okay, maybe that wasn't the best bet actually, on reflection. So the question is, what do we want to do here? Because Spec Sylveon is very, very spooky, and we do need to get up at least one Carmine. I do want to keep this around because this checks the Chandelure, it checks this guy, it checks the Durant, and also it does get popped by that, but still. We can also Pursuit Trap with this guy, so I'm quite happy to keep him. So maybe my best bet. Can my how much does a Sylveon do to a Crobat? I can take a Hyper Voice, so I'm going to go into my Crobat. I forgot this is what my Crobat's for. So here's Specs. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm literally just going to Roost, because he looks like he's just going to go for another Specs Hyper Voice. We can take those, so I'm absolutely fine with this. We can actually win this war, but the only issue is I don't to lose my crowbar. I need to be able to defog. I'm going to defog here on the switch. That's good. Out comes the Mence. Okay, I'm just going to U-turn here. As he's scarfed. Okay, that's good to know. And he does lock himself into Iron Tail. So what we could do here is we can go into our Ampharos and just fire off a Volt Switch, predicting the switch. The other options are we could go into our Crook and set up our rocks, which would be really, really nice. Because how much does a Crocodile take from a Salamence? Iron Tail, he doesn't take much at all, so I can go into my Crocodile. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up my rocks, because rocks affect that, and that. So it's going to be really, really nice for us. Okay. So the question is, what do we want to do? Do we just want to fire off an Earthquake? Because a Sylveon Earthquake has a choice banded Earthquake, so we're not going to be doing a huge amount. But on the other hand, being able to get a good amount of damage on this really helps me, because everything else outspeeds. Outside of potentially that guy, actually. I think that might be our best bet. The other option, could Cresselia take the hit? No, we can't. Okay. So we could go into our own Sylveon, because that would... Sylveon on our side actually isn't massively useful outside of that Salamence. Actually, it does stop him locking himself into dragon moves. Did I make a mistake there? I think I might have done, because I do still need to keep this around, actually. That's not good. I do have the Cresselia. The Cresselia should be able to take it. I've got E-Speed on it. No, I think this is going to be fine. Because now I'm pretty sure an Entei's Flare Blitz does kill. And that's kind of what I'm forced to. I should have just gone for some damage on that. The other option is I could go into my Cresselia. But I do risk being critted from there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Entei. And then what I can do is I could either just go for it, or I could double into Crook here. I'm just going to go for the sake of fun. See, I should have switched. But what I can do now, I'm not too worried. Because I can go into my Crook and I can Pursuit Trap it. And hopefully it's just going to go for a Shadow Ball or something like that. He does go for that Shadow Ball, we can live that. And now I can just go for the Pursuit. And it doesn't kill because he does decide to stay in. And he is going to kill us from there, but he dies to rocks next time. So that's absolutely fine with me. What I'm going to have to do is I am going to have to go, oh my god, I'm going to have to go into my Entei. And I'm going to have to fire off a Stone Edge. And that's my only real play. Knowing me, I know I'm going to, oh, I do hit it. Okay, that's good. So now, we are locked into Stone Edge. And we have to work out what to do. We can't go into Sylveon because I can still do a KO with a Stone Edge. Goes out into the Durant. My best switch is my Ampharos, and I'll see what he decides to do from here. As he does just go for the super power, I can take that, that's absolutely fine. And now a Volt Switch should kill, because this guy's got about 2 special defense. So that's going to be absolutely fine. So we'll just go for the Volt Switch here. And see what he decides to do. Once this guy's out the way, it does make us Cresselia's life a lot easier. Because we can then start Calm Minding up, take those Hyper Voices, and potentially start sweeping from there. Out comes the Sylveon. As I do get that Volt Switch off, we get a really nice crit there, which is great. And now I can just go into my Entei, and I can lock myself into Sacred Fire. If he does go into his, he doesn't, okay, that's fine. Because the Darmanitan would be in a huge amount of problem. He does go into his Darmanitan. Now the question is, what's he going to do? He's either going to Rock Slide or he's going to Earthquake. Do we want to go into our Cresselia? I actually think that's what we're going to do. He just goes for Flare Blitz. Okay, that's fair enough. That looks to be potentially Life Orbed. So the question is, what do we want to do here? I'm actually thinking my Ampharos is probably less useful, because Cresselia can still take a hit from that range, but then not from the Durant. This is a little bit tricky. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sack off my Cresselia, as he does go for another Flare Blitz, and that's going to do a good amount of damage to him. And I'm pretty sure my Ampharos can take a hit, so I can Volt Switch out and see what he decides to go into. I'm going to Volt Switch here, as he does bring us down very, very low. I probably should have rested actually. That might have been a better play, considering he's locked into it. Yes, actually that probably was a better play. I'm concentrating too much on the voice. Out comes the Durant. I think my best bet here, I should be able to live any hit from a Durant. And he might even miss as well. I can take a superpower, but then he can sweep me with Earthquake, but there's not a huge amount I can do about that. How much do I do with an extreme speed? Not enough. Okay, so I've got to be really, really careful here. I think my best bet, I could sack off the Ampharos on the superpower, and then I'd take less of my enter and I could lock myself into Sacred Fire. It misses, and it's an Iron Head. Okay, I'm going to go for Rest Hit just in case, but he does hit that Iron Head, and he is Life Orb. Okay, that's unfortunate, so I am going to go into my enter again, and I'm going to go for the Sacred Fire. He misses the superpower. This is really, really huge, guys, because now the Durant's going to go down, and we might be able to 1v1 the Salamence depending on what it's got and whether we burn or not. Okay, we're probably going to lose that matchup because we do get the burn, but he is going to be doing too much to us from here. Would I have been better off? Let's have a look. I may have actually been better off going for no, because I couldn't lock myself into extreme speed with the... Okay. Let's just see what ends up happening. Do we live? Okay, so we don't live, unfortunately. Okay, so that is going to be game from there. So I hope you guys did enjoy, and the guy got very, very salty about me burning him in the last turn. So I hope you guys did enjoy this live. I know it was a little bit weird, but I will see you guys at the next one. Macadii out.